Hi, my name is John, and my team members are Benjamin, Evelyn, and Lucas, and we're here to present our beginner's track for Datathon 2023. And our goal is essentially to analyze our data and find gaps in facility coverage, determine the necessity of coverage, the necessity of coverage based on selected parameters, and identify where we should allocate the hypothetical facilities to.
This is our methodology. First, we clean the raw data. Using Python, we made data more formatted by data transformation. Then we combine data of population and breast cancer. After that, we analyze data of certified facilities and breast cancer data in each state. Finally, we use MapGraph to visualize our data and present the conclusion.
So in defining parameters, to best define which factors should be considered when training our data, we have chosen to focus on female population as they experience a proportionally higher risk of breast cancer than males, who had a rate of about 1 per 100,000 people according to the CDC. Following that, we determined that the risk of breast disasters at varying ages will also be another fact that we need to take into consideration.
Next, we created the base data frame and used the pandas and also the Python to construct and organize our data. Then through some mathematical modeling, we use the expected values, the linear line regression, those like mathematical equation to output a reasonable allocation of a given number of facilities. And also we then organize the output data and plotted them on a separate chart to visualize and draw the conclusions.
Here is our findings. By extrapolating population number from our second data set, along with a new data set for breast cancer risks for women of different age groups from the CDC, we found that states such as California and Texas, along with Florida and New York, had the highest at-risk population.
However, we also determined from our data that highly populated states such as California, Texas, Florida, and New York stood out in having the most facilities by state.
Next, we tested our model and essentially distributed 1,000 to 10,000 facilities across the US with incremental 1,000 intervals. And as you can see from our results, more facilities will be allocated to highly populated areas such as California and Texas. And this is due to the fact that they have the lowest facility to population ratio out of all the US states. However, as we increase our allocated facilities, the South Atlantic and the Northeast regions started receiving more facilities, as you can see from our findings. And on our next slide, our next visual is essentially the same data as our previous slide, except that we use percentages to calculate it. As you can see, we have similar results, except that it's all in percentages.
Next slide. So in almost every case that we tested, the California, Texas, and Florida seems to have the lowest facilities to population ratios, and thus receive the highest percentage of facilities allocated. Overall, this result remains the same as we increase the numbers of facilities, but the percentage of the facilities allocated decreased as the same facilities account for less of the total amount allocated.
So here we come to the conclusions and the considerations part. We can see that big states tend to have lower facility to population ratios, thus meaning that they may not have enough facilities to accommodate for their high populations. And smaller states at the same time with lower populations tended to have a higher than average facilities to population ratio, thus showing that they may not need many more facilities. So the conclusion is that due to the low facility to population ratios of larger states such as California, Texas, or Florida, we should look for facilities to such states.
Also for the demographic considerations, given more data on all specific populations, we could utilize demographic data to decide the needs for the facilities. And also, the African American populations tend to suffer more from the breast-related diseases, which may also be another factor to look into. And on the other hand, the people aren't spread evenly throughout each state, and thus it is also essential to consider the density of people within each state. Moving forward, we could use the location data to pinpoint locations that may be hard to reach for specific populations and allocated facilities there. And at the very last, due to the very low facilities to population ratios, larger states tend to need more facilities to account for a larger at-risk population. And that will be the presentation of our today. Thank you for listening.